Joining us now, former federal prosecutor Shan, now a defense attorney. Shan, always good to see you.
Good to see you.
The timing of all of this comes as the House is prepared to vote, or poised to vote on whether to release these files, which would put pressure on, of course, the DOJ. How might those two things impact one another?
Well, the call for an investigation and DOJ apparently opening up an investigation, it's kind of embarrassing for them. We can talk about that. The way it could impact the congressional call for the release of the documents, the files, is now Trump's DOJ could try to hide behind this fact that there's a, quote, active investigation. And maybe they say, oh, we can't release files now, or they have to be more heavily redacted because it might interfere with our ongoing investigation. And, perhaps politically, that's exactly what the White House wants to do. But that's how it could interact there by announcing this so-called investigation now.
And you mentioned this is embarrassing in your view for the DOJ. Why is that?
Because two things, Jessica. First, they've already been on record, Pam Bondi, saying there's no there there. I mean, they've looked at this. There's no criminal culpability. She had the files on her desk at one point, and now suddenly they have to reopen. I'm not sure what they're looking at. But they're reopening it very specifically only as to Democrats, which is just ludicrous. I mean, it taints your investigation from the moment you get started to say you're only looking at people of particular political affiliation. If they're serious about this, and it'd be great if they actually held people accountable besides just Epstein, who's dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell, they need to appoint a special counsel, because the President of the United States, while not implicated criminally, is all over the files. He's certainly going to be a witness in it, so you can't have his own Justice Department investigating something where he might be a witness. So they need a special counsel. The Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney has probably conflicted out one of these alleged wrongdoers, maybe is Reid Hoffman, who used to be his client. This is obviously a situation where they need somebody independent of DOJ to do it, and that's the further embarrassment because DOJ is unlikely to appoint a special counsel, and it just continues to look like they're more and more just doing the bidding of Donald Trump, no matter how inconsistent it causes them to act.
It's such an interesting point about a special counsel, because when you put it that way, it does seem like in previous cases, if we were talking about any other issue, naturally a special counsel would be appointed for all the reasons you just listed. But in your opinion, it sounds like you think that's a very unlikely outcome here.
It seems very unlikely because the reason we have the special counsel regulations really assumes a perspective on the part of the Justice Department that they want to be independent. And they want to be independent, so if a high-level cabinet person or the president's being investigated, they need somebody with a little bit of arm's length from DOJ. This DOJ has no interest in being independent, and that's why I think it's highly unlikely they would appoint a special counsel.
Yeah. So, okay, as we look ahead to this next week, this potential vote on releasing these files, legally, then what happens? Obviously, we talked a little bit about how DOJ could kind of hide behind this new investigation, but what would you anticipate happens next should that pass?
Well, if they do release whatever they do release, and I think they'll release something, it's going to give a lot of ammunition for both congressional oversight to look further into it, which is really important. There's bipartisan interest in that. And of course, for law enforcement investigators to say either they already knew this, and if it looks bad, they have to explain why they did nothing with it, or if they say we didn't know this before, they need to follow up on it. One immediate thing that really should happen is, even based on what we've seen so far, Todd Blanche's softball interview with Ghislaine Maxwell really needs to be redone. I mean, there seems to be great contradictions just in what we've seen versus what she said. So there's a lot of steps that law enforcement needs to take once this gets released, depending on what gets released.
Yeah. And the question of trustworthiness for Ghislaine Maxwell as well. Shan, always good to see you. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.